everyone, my name's Dana Bookbinder, and I'm here today from EcoSpark to talk to you about how you can make any walk a nature walk. So EcoSpark is an environmental charity, and we're based in Toronto, Ontario. What I've done today is gone to a local urban setting, about a 10-minute walk from our office, just to show you some examples of what you might be looking for if you take a walk in your community, and how your observations can actually help researchers and educators share the natural world with others. So today we're going to take a look at some of nearby nature in this park and talk about some examples. Let's start right here. So in this community garden, somebody has put in a pollinator garden outside of a school, and they've planted a number of species that are attractive for native pollinators, the insects that are evolved to help the plants that are native to the area. So native pollinators really like to see blossoms throughout the year. This is something you can do at your own home or park or school ground. It's put in plants that would be blooming throughout the growing season. So not just one big burst. It'd be like if you opened up the fridge on a Tuesday and it was full of food, but then you came back on Friday, there was nothing there. We want to see flowers that are blooming throughout the year. So we'll see how we're doing here and whether some other species might help us. So what we've been seeing is that some of the plants that were blossoming last year have fruits that remain on. So we know that this was a good flowering species because you can see it still has fruits on the end here. And somebody has nicely labeled it sumac, so maybe the students in this community can learn more about the plant as well. You want to be looking down and up as you go, and also keep your ears open. So as we walk today, we're going to be sort of tracking the bird activity that's going on in this neighborhood and thinking about how birds could be part of an important part of our ecosystem as well. When we see different species, you might not recognize them. That's okay. You can still take important observations for citizen science. One of the ways that you can do this is with a project called iNaturalist. iNaturalist is a citizen science database that's publicly available all around the world, and you can use it to share photos and sounds that you record of nature in your community. iNaturalist will provide these photos so that you can keep track of what you've seen and maybe track your own changes in a community over time. It will allow you to get some feedback about what you're seeing as well. So if you share a photo, for example, of this plant, you didn't know what it was called, you could take a photo in particular of the buds or the end of shrubs and trees. The ends of the branches have a little bit more information to identify it. And within a few days, the naturalist community on iNaturalist will give you a heads up as to what that species might be. You can see somebody in the physical world has labeled this chokeberry or chokecherry. So another nice native species, and you can see here it's going to be flowering soon. These are buds that our native bees and pollinators will be visiting shortly. So people are curious about pollinators. I know in the news we've heard a lot about the honeybee decline. Native pollinators are also at risk. We've seen declines in insect species all around the world. So what communities can do by planting these species that they feed on is actually a benefit to our ecosystem service of pollination. When the insects are visiting flowers, they're also visiting the crops that produce food for people, and that's a huge part of how we can contribute to health all around our community. All right, well, let's take a look here. We've come across a park that I love. This is a brand new park. 1 year ago, maybe a year and a half, this was entirely pavement. This is a parking lot for the school, and the city of Toronto was able to come in and add some sod and, more importantly, add some native species. So you see some small trees around. We have some nice serviceberry and all sorts of facilities that the local community can use. One of my favorite parts is a community garden. So behind all of this barricade here, there's actually an open gate, and anybody can come in. And midsummer, There's blooming flowers that become tomato plants. This is great for pollinators as well. You see kids out here enjoying and learning about nature and how to grow their own food, which is an important part of environmental education. So you can take a look on your nature walk for the amenities that people have put into public spaces, as well as private gardens, and see what's growing. Today, we're going to make an observation of a very humble but important plant that you might know the name of. So take a look here. There's a few of them. The easiest way to identify them is when they're blooming. So this is a dandelion, if you didn't guess it before. It's found globally because it spreads very easily. And the dandelion, although the leaves are used for food, it's also just an important marker for people. So they can recognize spring when the dandelion has started to bloom. My little friend is here. So dandelions, if they don't have this distinctive yellow bloom, you will recognize them by their leaves. They come out low out of a rosette, and there's this flat circle of leaves, all of which seem to have sort of the back of an arrow shape. So they almost point backwards. What I like to do this time of year is find a dandelion and then start recognizing the leaves and see if I can find some that haven't bloomed yet so that I can recognize them year-round. When we take a citizen science observation, what we're going to do is just simply take a photo of it, document the time and the day, and the location. If you're using an app, this video has some resources accompanying it that let you know how to download a free app from iNaturalist, for example. Then you already have it on your device, and it will geo-reference or geotag that plant or animal, whatever it is that you're photographing. And if you don't have that information, you can simply write down the info on a notebook and enter it in your browser when you get back. Alright, so we're ready to make our citizen science observation. If you have your device, you would point it at where you want to and use the camera feature to collect that photo and submit it for citizen science. It looked a little rainy today, so I brought out some of my more high-tech paper and pencil. This is Write in the Rain paper, which you can find online. It's a waterproof paper, so we encourage our school kids that we work with at EcoSpark to go out, rain or shine, and explore nature and learn about it. You can just jot down some of the details, even do a sketch if you're not familiar with what the species is, and make sure that you include the date and the time. You'll be surprised how frequently it comes up that you find some old notes and you don't know from which nature walk that was. A more simple way to waterproof your field notes is just to use a plastic bag with some cardboard and a paper inside it, and then a simple whiteboard marker, so you never have to get your field notes wet. You can jot down on the outside to keep your notes. So it's as simple as that. That would be one observation. You just do one individual of one species. You can take a photo of any plant or animal. Use your local health precautions and be sure that you're studying nature safe, but we encourage you to get out. Our challenge is that you find 5 different nature observations and share them with citizen science or with your family and friends. Thanks.